Joe De Sena, Mr. Spartan himself. How you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Dude.
I can't, I got to catch myself. I say, well, I've been better, right? You get caught in that trap. I guess my answer is I'm friggin' great. Everything's fantastic. The fact that I'm fighting through COVID and it's been a challenge is good. Aru.
I love it, man. That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of energy we need, especially with everything that we're dealing with, all the uncertainty and all that. Before we start talking about your amazing new book, I love the fact that you wrote this book, 10 Rules for Resilience, Mental Toughness for Families. Heck yeah, man. You and I are both in the 4 kids camp. I have 4 boys. I know you have 2 girls and 2 boys. But let's just start off with some kind of warm-up questions. Outside of Spartan and outside of family and marriage and all that, what is something that these days just brings you joy that you like to do?
Working out in a sauna, ice cold showers, not eating till 9 a.m., sleeping in the same bed as my wife.
There you go. Yeah.
Playing with our little dog and seeing my kids.
Nice, man. I love that. How old are your kids now?
I've got 4, as you said. I've got an 8, 12, 14, 16.
8, 12, 14, and 16. Wow. Yeah, man. That's like every bang, 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 every 2 years. You guys are on point.
We didn't mess around.
How long have you and your wife been married now?
We've been married about 20 years, almost 20 years.
Nice, man. What's the secret to a 20-year lasting marriage for you?
The secret is you got to have a wife that, my wife is Irish. I always thought I would marry an Italian girl because I'm Italian. But thank God I married an Irish girl because she just puts up with me. She just deals with my insanity and hasn't left me yet. So that's good. And I'm on the road a lot, so I think those tactical pauses are great for a relationship. So, I was away from home for like last 10 days filming, and it sucks because I want to be with my family, but it's also good.
Yeah, I actually enjoy traveling myself. I don't like to do it too terribly much, but when I do. I'm actually heading out to California myself here in a couple of weeks to interview Bedros Keuilian, and I like those small getaways because it just recharges me to come back to the family. But you got me curious when you were talking about she puts up with my insanity. So give us a snapshot in the mind of Joe in this insanity. What are we talking about?
Well, I wake up early. I don't cuddle very much. I'm like up and out of bed. I'm working out, making noise. I then wake the entire family up, and they're working out by 5:45 in the morning. Music's blasting. They're not thrilled about that, but we do it every single day. I'm maniacal about the kids speaking Mandarin every day for 30 minutes each. I drive everybody crazy about doing their math and Mandarin. I'm running this global business, which means, like we said, I'm on the road running around, so I'm not home a lot. And then, unfortunately, we don't do a lot of those family dinners because I'm not there. And then when I am there, like there's chaos, and maybe I might show up with 2 people from work that are sleeping over that night. It's just always like work-life integration. It's just craziness. It's like a circus.
So you got me curious about, you said they have to speak 30 minutes of Mandarin a day, and they have to do math in Mandarin?
Math and Mandarin, yeah.
So tell me about that.
Well, I learned when the kids were very young that Mandarin was a tonal, difficult language to learn, and that it would actually help develop their brain if they could speak Mandarin. So I said to my wife, why don't we let them watch as much TV as they want, as long as it's in Mandarin when they were very little. So we just, it was very hard to make that happen, by the way, because I used to have to get DVDs, and then if you get DVDs, then they don't play in the regular player. And it's very difficult to get American shows in Mandarin audio. But I got it done. I was a maniac about it. And then I convinced someone in Boston that was studying for their PhD, a woman, and studying Mandarin to get on the phone with them, 30 minutes each every day. So she spends 2 hours a day talking to my four knuckleheads in Mandarin and getting them to communicate and learning to read and write. So, and this has been going on. It's been going on for like 11 years. So my oldest started when he was 5, and maybe even younger. So they all speak fluent Mandarin.
Wow.
My smallest speaks Spanish, Mandarin, and English because she threw the Spanish in there. She wanted to one-up everybody. But my feeling is if everybody in the country, everybody in the world spoke at least 2 languages and learned one martial art, the world would be a better place.
Yeah, tell me more.
Well, so I think the problem when we have problems, right? Whether somebody's complaining over something silly like Wi-Fi not working on an airplane, or they're holding a grudge against somebody, or they're just an a-hole that day for whatever reason. I think it comes from this place of you're not humble. You have no humility. You don't know what it is to work really, or maybe you think you do, but like when you have to grind through and learn a martial art, right, and get your ass kicked, it softens the edges. When you have to grind through and speak in other language, like it softens the edges. So you just become a different person, and you have a much more open mind to the world and the way other people think. And the way other people, so you're not so closed-minded, living in a bubble. Another thing, not to ramble here, but I think Google and Samsung could literally change the world overnight doing 2 things with their devices. This would transform the world. Elon Musk could get this done. Ready? Every single person that has a phone, which is everybody, can only use it for so many minutes, and then it goes dark. And you have to do a couple of squats or burpees to turn it back on. Number 1. And number 2, the device knows what bubble you live in. It knows if you like Fox News or CNBC or MSNBC, whatever it is, whatever your political affiliation is, your phone knows it. And so it just keeps feeding you the garbage that you like, that you want to see. And so you never get an open mind to the other side. Like I have no prejudice on how whoever you are listening or watching this, how you think, doesn't matter. But however you think, if you have blinders on, including myself, and I'm only focused on my way and what I believe in, and that bubble gets smaller and smaller and smaller because my device keeps feeding me exactly what I want to hear and exactly what I want to see, the phone manufacturers could change the world overnight by mandating that I see the other side also. It should shut off the thing that I want to see and show me, I have to do 30 minutes a day hearing the other side of the story. Right? Anyway, that's it. Like if I could change the world, it would burpees. First of all, 6 a.m. every morning, all hot water should be shut off in the country.
I like that. Yeah.
You only cold showers after 6 a.m. If you're up early enough and you get your workout in, you still get a hot shower. After 6 a.m., it's cold showers. Right? I think there should be a junk food tax. Massive junk food tax, like there was a cigarette tax. And I think we should take that money from that tax, and I think we should subsidize salads, fruits, and vegetables. So salads, fruits, and vegetables should go down in price. Junk food should go up in price. And if you still want to eat a Twinkie, you could have a Twinkie, but it's going to cost you a fortune, and it's much cheaper to get an apple and a banana. Problem solved. Like, this is so easy. Biden, Trump, Pelosi, all these people. I could solve this shit in about 11 seconds.
I like that, man. I'll tell you, that's a simple way to fix a lot of problems, man.
One more thing. Ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right, listen. The problem with the military, U.S. military system we have, is the commitment is too long. First of all, I'm proud of the military. My kids are going to do ROTC. But for most Americans, just based on the numbers, the commitment is too long of a commitment. So what we should do is we should make the commitment shorter. We should say, look, you could do 2 years of military. We'll call it a rite of passage. 1 year, everybody has to do. And if you do another year, we're going to cover half your college. Or we'll cover all your college, but then you got to do ROTC, and it's a bigger commitment. So 1 year, everybody's got to do just to live in this country. That's the deal. 2 years, we cover half your college. It's a good deal.
I'd sign up for that.
Right? And if everybody went through it and everybody experienced real boot camp and grinding and suffering together, again, knocks the edges off, makes people a hell of a lot happier. Now,
I like that.
I know we're supposed to be talking about kids, but I'm on a roll here. I'm going to keep
going.
All right, listen. We have to put term limits on congressmen and senators. We gotta. People, they can't stay there for an entire career. Build a network of connections and then leverage those connections and make money. Like, it's ridiculous. We got to get people in and out of that job. You got a president can only go 8 years. These other folks could go, forever.
Mm-hmm.
Get them in, get them out. Let's get some fresh blood.
Yeah. I mean, you think about some of these people who have been in there for 40 plus years, and quite frankly, some of them haven't done a thing, Yeah.
Ridiculousness.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of the military, you got me curious about the flag that you have in the background with the Navy SEAL Trident. Tell me about that.
I'm really fortunate. And I'm looking now, you got me thinking. Oh yeah, wait till you see this thing. Hold on. I'm really fortunate in that I get all these gifts.
Check that out.
You see that? I get all these gifts from all kinds of military folks and warriors from around the world, Mongolian bow and arrows, African bow and arrows, that flag you mentioned. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, God.
That is quite a kettlebell. Look at that.
95-pound kettlebell.
How much is that?
95 pounds.
Dang.
That's a monster. I got this ancient. Hang on a second. Look at this.
For those of you guys watching us on YouTube, make sure you tune in on YouTube for this. Look at that.
Ancient kettlebell. Hang on, I'm running out of room here. The desk might collapse. Hold on. Wait till you see this.
Make sure you guys check us out on YouTube, The Dad Edge. You got to see all these contraptions that Joe is pulling out here.
This thing they sent me here.
Dang, look at that, man. That is awesome.
How awesome is that?
So tell me about that. That looks like it has just a ton of
so it's
amazing
got
things in there.
Military coins. It's got that special steel blade, right? Look at that, baby. And all these different military groups that I meet, they have a connection to Sparta. They have a connection to that warrior mindset. And they love the fact that we as a company are turning civilians into warriors, right? And they want to support it. So I get all these gifts, and I'm so honored because actually I'm jealous. I wasn't in the military. I'm pissed off about that. I wish I had done it. And but at least I got this amazing connection where I get all these cool gifts. And everything. Let's see what's in here.
Yeah, that one really has my curiosity. That's an amazing box you got there. As far as like what's in that?
Opening it up.
Super custom. Oh.
We got some glasses that were specially made for the SAS. We got a bottle. I'm not a drinker, but Bullet bourbon.
Nice.
But what's cool about this is they loaded it with steel from 9/11. It's made with oak from the USS Constitution. Like, it's unbelievable how they made this thing. I got to put it over here so it doesn't fall over. Anyway, made from bullets and hardware and stuff.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That is awesome. You mentioned that I want to talk about your book, but you had something that piqued my interest there. You said you wish you would have been in the military. Looking back on it, why didn't you join the military?
You know, I wasn't guided that way as a kid. The neighborhood I grew up in. I'm going to backtrack before I answer the question. There's a bunch of fast runners that come from a certain town in Africa. And a bunch of researchers were trying to figure out why. Is it the air? Is it the water? Is it the genetics? And they went to this town and they did their research. And what they found was that, no, in this town, there was a runner that won the Boston Marathon, got paid a bunch of money, bought a Mercedes and a nice house on a hill. All the kids growing up see the Mercedes, see the nice house on the hill, and they want one. So what do they start doing? They start running real fast. And so I grew up in a neighborhood of organized crime. And so what did I see? I saw a bunch of guys, that did that for a living and had rolls of $100 bills and nice cars. There was no hills, but nice houses. And so that's what we wanted to do as kids, right? That's what we chased. And jail was the military. Jail was college. Like if you did time in jail, that's how you earned your education. And so, but no one guided me and said like, oh, you should join the military, meet so-and-so that was in the military. Like, I just didn't know. No one guided me on college. Shame on me. I should have figured it out on my own, but I just, I don't know. I started a business at a young age and I went on that route, you know?
That makes a lot of sense. And it's interesting because I know obviously your mission behind Spartan is for people to test themselves, to elevate themselves, to grow confidence, to grow as individuals, physically, mentally, emotionally, the whole 9 yards. So that's fascinating. I didn't know that about you. I'd love to actually talk about your book. I have it here in front of me. For those of you guys who are watching us on YouTube, Mental Toughness for Families, 10 Rules for Resilience. Absolutely amazing book. The first rule here, I'm going to ask you about it because I had a fascinating conversation with my 15-year-old last night. So I have 4 boys, 15, 13, 8, and 5. And we actually talked about this very thing. You can't until you can build a better belief system. So talk to us about that, building a better belief system as a family.
You know, my mother used to say when I was a kid, don't use those negative words. Don't let them go out into the universe. And that sounded ridiculous to me. Like, how could words possibly affect anything? But they really do.
Yep.
And I tell people all the time when they say, oh, this is the way I am. You know, I wake up late. I'm not really a hard worker. Whatever the thing is that you say, you're perpetuating that cycle and you're never going to get out of it. And so you have to change that mindset, even if it means faking it, right? And so if you use those words and you say that, you start to believe it, people around you expect it, and you just got to change that mindset. How do I do that, Joe? I've always been this way. Start by saying it. Mm-hmm. Start by saying this is who we are. Put it up on the board. This is the way we live our life. I say to my kids all the time, look, we might not be the fastest. Maybe we're not the most athletic, but we work hard. This family works hard. If we had a coat of arms, it was, De Sena's, the hard-working family, right? And listen, my kids weren't hard workers until they were, right? You're not until you are. You can't until you can. So it's a growth mindset. It's hard to do. But it changes your life.
Yep.
And by the way, there's nothing in your life you were able to do until you did.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like we figure it all. And here's the best part. People say to me, "Oh, Joe, could never run 10 miles. I could never run 26 miles." I said, "Really?" I said, "You're telling me if God forbid we were in a plane crash and we had to go 26 miles to get back to our families to safety to eat, you couldn't do it?" "Oh, well, then I could do it." "Well, then you could do it." I was enamored. My first marathon years and years and years ago, I collapsed at 26.2, right at the finish line.
Right at the finish line.
Right at the finish line, I collapsed. And I remember like huge crowds, New York City. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get out of there. I gotta walk. I can't even move. I don't even want my medal. And I thought, gee, why did I collapse at 26.2? How come I didn't collapse at 24? Why didn't I collapse at 27? Why did I collapse? Oh, because my mind saw the finish line, and that's where, oh, my mother must have been right. Like your mind and those words, it's everything. It's everything. I say to the kids in the family all the time on the farm, I say, listen, because it's some rugged weather on the farm, I say, there's no bad weather, just bad mindset. Weather's great. I never check the weather, by the way. I don't know if I've never checked the weather. My whole life I've never checked the weather. It doesn't matter, does it? Like, I'm going out anyway.
How do you recoach and remind when your kids maybe get in that mindset of, Dad, I just can't do it. How do you respond?
Sometimes I'll tell you how my father did it for me. Right? Sometimes I'll tell you, I was trying to move a rock. My father had me doing landscaping. I couldn't move it. It was too big. I spent like 2 hours out there shoveling. I was picking. It was too heavy. I said, Dad, I can't do it. Can't move it. He said, no problem. He goes, I'm going to get somebody who can. And I was furious. I went back out, figured it out, and I moved the rock. And so sometimes, whether it's my kids or their friends or nephews or whatever, I'm like, you're probably right. You probably can't handle it. Let me get your brother or your sister or somebody who can.
How do they respond to that? Same way you did?
Yeah, fires them up. Like, so like there's a reason why like a running record or any kind of athletic feat goes on for a decade where that record's not broken. And then as soon as the record's broken, 9 other people break the same record. How is that possible? I remember, I don't remember because I wasn't alive yet, but Jim Ryan, who could run the mile in the time that he could. And everybody was like, oh, that's impossible. No one can run under a 4-minute mile. And then as soon as he did it, what happened? Right? A lot of people did it.
A lot of people did it. Yeah. I like that, man. I like that. I especially sibling rivalry a little bit. You have me very, very curious on the commit to no bullshit, eliminate the excess and the excuses. I got to tell you, with 4 boys, and maybe I'm tougher on them because I have 4 boys. I cannot stand excuses. They drive me absolutely maddening. Right? Like, it's not my fault. I didn't know. I'm like, yeah, you kind of did. Yeah, you did. Okay. I'm a big believer in just own it. You'll actually be in less trouble if you just own it and admit it. Like I'm big on that. How do you teach commit to no bullshit, eliminating the excess and the excuses?
30 burpees. You can have as many excuses as you want. They cost 30 burpees. How many? Let's lay out on a piece of paper all your excuses. Let's have a blast. Come on, give me more. Everyone is 30 burpees. Get rid of excuses really fast.
So how many burpees have your kids done because of that?
My daughter, she'd be like doing 90 at 9 o'clock at night at 4 years old. And Dad, it's too many. Too many excuses. It's that simple. And that's what I was talking about with the phone earlier. Like, the phone is so addictive that you and I could look at it. Parents could look at it as a negative. But I've been looking at it lately and saying, wait a minute. This is a positive. This is more powerful than ice cream. We got to use this to our advantage. Right? You want this? In the morning, my daughter doesn't want to get up at 5:30. She fights me. My 12-year-old, she don't want to get up this morning. No problem. Take the phone. As soon as the workout's done, you get it back.
I love that, man. We started doing this a while back, and we got away from it a little bit because my 2 older boys have phones, and we got away from it just for a little bit because after school, my 13-year-old would go to football practice right away, 2-hour practice. My 15-year-old would be cross country practice, and then he had band practice. So neither one of them were getting home until late. But both of them are done with those seasons. And what we do is we call it the after school check-in, when you walk through this door, you hand your phone over and then you check in and we say, okay, let's see your list of assignments. Let's see if you have any missing assignments. Let's see your grades. Also, there's things that need to be done here. Maybe it's you doing your laundry, folding your laundry, empty the dishwasher, all these other things. And once those things are done, and it can take as long as you want them to, once those things are done, then you can have the phone back. I actually really enjoy having that leverage because my kids, they're super motivated, right, to get those things accomplished, right? And it is a great leverage point.
A drug.
Yeah, man. It actually drives me crazy, man. If I'm being really honest, Joe, like it drives me freaking nuts.
Drives me nuts, but I got to use it to my advantage because it's entered my world. You know, if I had my way, if you had your way, they'd be living on the farm with no phones, with a pitchfork, you know, baling hay every day. But that's not the world we live in. And so I gotta use it to my advantage. Yeah,
and they're a good leverage point. Yeah. Failing forward, I love that rule, and I love what's up.
It's an obvious one, right? I mean, look, we all fail, and if we're afraid, my son, you know, my boys are not great wrestlers, but they're trying hard. They're training like animals, and they hate losing, like anybody hates losing. And when they get on the mat, you can see when they're at a tournament that fear of failing, that fear of losing. And so my latest message to them is, you probably got about 300 or 400 more matches to lose before you start winning, because that's just the reality of life. Like businesses, do you not check this one out? I don't know if you know this. A lot of people don't know this. If you started a business today, a bunch of people started businesses today, 15 years later, 95% of those businesses are gone.
Gone.
95. The longer you play the game, imagine you and I going into the Colosseum in Rome. The longer you play the game, the more likely we die. Right? So failure is just part of the deal. Failure in relationship, failure in business, failure in wrestling. And so the quicker you can say to yourself, wait a minute, I'm not losing, I'm learning, right? I learned how to not make a light bulb 998 times, right? I learned how to not make it an electrical car 50 times, whatever Elon Musk went through. So like the quicker your kids and your family can get their arms around that, and I'm not saying it's easy, oh my God, game changer.
So I love that because that's a huge motto in our house. I had to teach that lesson to my 15-year-old. He's actually working on a book now called You Either Win or You Learn.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Well, I should send you a copy of my 13-year-old's book. He wrote a book called Never Give Up No Matter What. It's all about a story about how, you know, he was 8 years old, first year of tackle football, working his ass off, never was played, you know, was given the opportunity to possibly walk away if he really wanted to. And he decided, I'm going to finish what I started, which was really cool. But my 15-year-old is working on that right now, which is you either win or you learn. And both my boys, my older ones, they wrestled. My 15-year-old lost every single week over and over and over again. And he even talks about it. He's like, I hated that time in my life, that 3 years, those 3 seasons, just losing over and over and seeing my little brother come home with a medal every single weekend. And I'm like, and now I see him now though. And here he is like 6-7 years later. He is stubborn. He refuses to throw in the towel on anything. Like he's a workhorse. And I'm like, listen, man, that might've felt like it was a defeat in the moment, but do you know what that taught you? That taught you grit, man. Like you just kept coming back week after week after week after week, and you never let up on how hard you were working. And that serves you so well now, you know, with what he's doing now. And I love that grit. I have a question for you that I don't know if you've ever been asked, but as you started talking about these things with your kids, I didn't expect to ask this, but you know, do you ever think that your kids like look at you as like, man, he's dad, but he's Joe De Sena. Like I have a high standard to live up to. Do you think that's scary for them in any way? Or do you think that that's intimidating?
It's hard for me to get my head around it because I am nothing. I'm nothing. And so it's hard for me to get my head around that. But I think for my oldest, there's definitely a little bit of that. I've heard him say things that make me think that, okay, I gotta figure this out. Listen, this morning we wrestled in the garage. He pinned me 3 times. Like, maybe that helps. I don't know, but like,
how old is he?
He's smarter than I. He's 15. He's 16 now. He's smarter than I ever was. His grades are better than mine ever were. Yeah, stronger than I. Like, I don't know if he recognizes all that, but so I got to work on it.
You know, and I want to segue a little bit from your books. You talk about your son. What is most important for you as you raise young men? And I want to ask you about young women too, how you go about raising them.
All 4 of them have to be hard workers. They got to get up early. They got to get after it every day. All 4 of them have to be good human beings. They got to treat people nice. I mean, if we check those 3 boxes, aside from the math, the Mandarin, the martial arts, right? But if they're good people, they work hard, they treat people nice, like, we won. We won. And they better not eat Twinkies.
You got this thing against Hostess, I'm thinking. It's actually one of our show sponsors, Joe, is Hostess. I'm kidding. What about raising strong, confident young women? Like, so how old are your daughters?
8. My 8-year-old, I don't have to worry about. She could, if you wanted to take 2 weeks off, she could run your show. No issue there.
She's hired.
She's a character. You might come in at home. You might come home, right? Her name's Alex. What's up?
Yeah, that's my 150-pound dog.
I love it. And Alex might be baking a cake with an apron on her own, maybe one of those, pastry hats on, and talking to herself and reading a recipe and saying, gee, I'm out of olive oil. What can I replace that with? All on her own at 8 years old. She'll hike the mountain 100 days in a row with us. She hosted her own workouts during the pandemic, got millions of views. She's fine. The others, I mean, they're strong. They're rugged. They lived in 5 different places. We just told them they're moving to Florida January 1st. We broke it to them 3 days ago.
So you guys are moving?
We're moving. We're moving out of Boston. We're keeping the farm in Vermont. We're moving out of Boston and we're going to Florida. We're going to open a satellite office there. They're going to go to school in Florida. And we're doing it because I'm having a tough time recruiting people to come back into the office in Boston. And I'm old fashioned. I like people around me in the office. It makes it easier for me to work. So we'll have the office in Boston, but I'd like to have an office in Florida where people are coming in. But my kids, other than my 12-year-old daughter, everybody was like, all right, as long as there's good food, let's go.
So how did the 12-year-old take it? Broke
down, crying, pissed off. My wife was like, Joe, now's not the time to tell her she should be happy. She has 2 legs. And so I was like, trying to talk to her. She wasn't letting me talk to her. She screamed at my wife and said, Mom, it's easy for you to say you had a normal childhood. You only lived in one place. I have to move every 2 years somewhere.
Well, depending on who your parents were and what they did for a living, if you're a military kid, you were moving every 2 years. Yeah. So, well, very cool, man. That's awesome. What part of Florida are you guys going to?
We're going to go to Winter Park in Orlando.
Nice, man. Very cool. It sounds like you guys have a very solid daily routine. You talk about it. Your kids are waking up early. They're hitting it hard, right? I would love to hear rule number 6 is dedicate to a daily routine, how schedules lead to success. So what are the kids' lives like? I can imagine yours, but what are the kids' lives like underneath Joe De Sena's roof?
I mean, like I said, we wake up early in the morning, every morning. This morning was no different. We work out hard.
So as a family, like all the kids, like y'all grind it out?
Everybody. Every single day for the last 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Every day. Doesn't matter where we are.
And what does a typical workout look like in the morning?
First of all, it's very hard to wrangle 4 young children, as you know.
Sure.
This morning, 3 of them went for a run outside and then did sprints and tire flips. Jack stayed in the garage with me and did 5 rounds on an Airdyne bike. He squatted and threw a 80-pound medicine ball up and over his shoulder, and then did rope climbs and then wrestled me.
And pinned you 3 times.
3 times. Yeah, I had no chance. I tried. Yeah, is what it is. So it depends, but they'll get like 45 minutes to an hour. I'll get my hour and a half. My wife is calling now. Let's see what she says. Hold on. Hey, you're on a podcast. Hello? Hello? You're on a podcast. Can you hear me? Court. I think she dialed. Hey, you're on a podcast.
I do have a quick question. Sorry, podcasting team. Jeff.
Yes.
For after school wrestling program, what's happening?
5:30, they get in the car and they head over to Metro.
Okay. All right. We got a full afternoon event on this the wrestling. Okay.
The question the host has is how easy is it living with me?
Piece of cake.
Piece of cake.
No problem. It's so easy. It's you know what? It's just you have to have a sense of humor about everything, and just stay the course, right, Joe?
Stay the course.
Stay the course. Leave no man behind, and just laugh. It goes by so fast. I can't believe how quick life is going. So we gotta enjoy every second.
I'll see you later. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Oh man, behind every successful man, there's a wife laughing.
That's right.
That's really cool, man. Okay. So the morning workout, and then what do the kids do from there?
Well, then they go to school.
Okay.
And then they come back, and then they have their sports. They got their Mandarin. They've got their supplemental math. And I try to get them to bed, although it's slipping because I haven't been home a lot. I've been working on this damn television show. But when I'm not home, they tend to get to bed at like 10. When I'm home, they're in bed before 9.
Nice. Very cool. And what about when days, how do you, so let's just say the kids are like, Dad, just not today, Dad, not today, not this morning. How do you respond?
They say that every day for the last 11 years. What are you talking about?
Right. So
you think I walk into the room and they're jumping out of bed and say, Dad, this is awesome. Can't wait to work out every single day. I grab their toes. I pull them out of bed. I tackle them. I got music blasting. I get them up every day.
That's awesome, man. And so after school, like what kind of, so do they pitch in and do they have their own chores, that kind of thing? They pull their weight at the house?
They have their own chores. They're not unfortunately for me, I'm failing here. They're not painting the house or changing the shingles on the roof.
How dare they?
They are making the beds. They're cooking. They're doing basic chores. But I would say if you're trying to find any blind spots in my program, they're not doing enough around the house. They should all be like working for a local landscaper. They're not doing that. I should take my own advice. I've just overscheduled them with so much stuff, and I do regret. Even in our family, somebody in the family has a hardware store. Even on Sundays, working in the hardware store would be amazing.
Yeah.
And I regret that I keep sending them to all these practices and doing all this stuff when they need some real world. I got to work on it.
Parenting is a practice. It's, your kids are doing a lot of different things right now. Hey, so for those of you guys in the audience, I got one more question for Joe, but again, I'm interviewing Joe De Sena, Mental Toughness for Families, 10 Rules for Resilience. Make sure you guys go pick up his amazing book. He's got a picture of his beautiful family. Just spoke to Courtney. You guys heard her on the podcast. Tell me, how do you go about marriage? You guys been together. My wife and I, we've been together for nearly 20 years, just like you guys, just like you and Courtney. I think a lot, if you really look at the numbers and the statistics, divorce rate's 50%. what a lot of people don't know is the 50% of people that stay together, only 1/3 of those couples can actually identify their relationship as working and they're actually happy. The other 2/3 of marriages, they're either settling or they have no connection whatsoever. But with everything that you have going on, you've got this TV show, you've got Spartan, you're writing books, you guys have 4 kids. I'm in that camp along with you as well. How do you and Courtney keep your marriage on point?
I mean, listen, I think you get 2 different answers from her and I. I mean it sincere, not even joking. It's because of her. Like I am moving forward full speed. I drop every ball when it comes to, things I'm supposed to be doing in a marriage or taking care of her or doing dates. I am terrible. I'm so busy with the business, and I'm really focused on the kids. She knows I don't drink. I don't cheat. I come home early. I don't like to go out to party. I got those boxes all checked, and she puts up with me because how would you possibly do everything we're doing with this business and my life and the kids? And then, you know what I mean? And then also, like, something's got to give. So either you got to put less into the business and more into home. And I'm not saying one way is right or wrong, but I'm so far on the wrong side of the line in the business that you got to have a wife that you got to have another half that's willing to put up with it. She puts up with it. She rolls with it.
I didn't expect that answer, but man, thank you so much for the honesty. I know I said that was the last question, but I do have one more for you. Joe, how old are you?
52.
52. And Courtney is how old?
22.
20. For a second, man. Nice. Good one. Yeah.
She's probably 44.
Okay. So 44. And you've got 16, 14, 12, 10, right? I'm sorry. 8.
Yes. Right? 16, 14, 12, 8.
12, 8. Okay. Let's just fast forward 20 years from today.
Yep.
Okay. You're 72. Courtney's 42. I can't do math for all 4 kids, but the youngest is 28. You guys are sitting together as a family at dinner. You hold up your glass of non-alcoholic, whatever it is, whether it's tea or water, whatever. Maybe it's that giant prehistoric kettlebell. But you look at your family and you say, what has been the most meaningful memories that we have made as a family? What has brought you the most joy? And each person was able to tell you some things. And what would your family be telling you that has been most meaningful that hasn't happened yet?
Well, first off, they're going to say, I don't think they're going to like all the workouts and all the healthy foods and everything I pushed for the first 15 years of their life. But if my youngest is 28, I think at that point, when we raise our kettlebells up at the table, not our glasses, she's going to say, hey, Dad, I didn't get it at the time, but I really appreciate that we did all that, right? I fit in my jeans. I'm a better human being for it. Yeah. I speak multiple languages, so I work for KPMG. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. I bet you they say, hey guys, I wish we had more family dinners. I wish we had. I mean, they're not going to say they didn't travel enough because we've lived all over the world and they get to come to races and we do all that. So that part I think they're going to miss the family dinners. I think the very thing that I know I'm falling short on, that's the thing they're going to have missed.
Well, the good news is you still got 20 years, right?
I got 20. And I could do like one giant dinner maybe and make up for it all.
Just one huge meal that lasts hours.
We go on for like 6 days straight. We could have 6 different chefs cooking different kinds of foods. And I could say we're even now.
I love it, man. No Twinkies, though. No Twinkies. Joe, this has been a pleasure, man. Thank you for coming on. Again, guys, Mental Toughness for Families, 10 Rules for Resilience by Joe here. Joe De Sena, founder of Spartan. Thank you so much for coming on Dad Edge. This was a pleasure, and this was round 2. It's been 4 years since the last time I spoke to you, and this was absolutely amazing. And I mean, honestly, man, thanks for all the good you're doing in the world for us.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
See you later.
See you, man. All right. Thanks a lot, man. That was fun.
That was fun.